Why do we use references, and what are they really? References are photos, objects and other works of art that artists use or refer to when creating art. But referencing isn't copying. All artists use references even when they're making something completely imaginary, even if they aren't aware they're using them. Every day we build up a mental collection of references. The more we study something, the more detailed our mental image of that object becomes. They're a source of knowledge that our brain can use to understand a subject and use that information to create something new. References also give us the opportunity to be inspired. So when is referencing copying, and when is it a reference? Simply put, copying is taking someone else's work, recreating it as is, and claiming it as your own. But what if we want to draw or paint something unique? That's where the real power of references come in. By using multiple references, we can study an object's form and structure, the variations in size, shapes and colouring, and then use them to create our own artwork based on references but not copied, a true original. To demonstrate this, I'm going to pick a random object that I'm familiar with, but one I've never drawn. I decided to go with the pinecone. I know what pinecones look like, you know what they look like, but I've never drawn one. So now I'm drawing a pinecone from what my mental image of a pinecone looks like. I think I know the rough shape and what colour they are. Now let's pull up a few reference images of pinecones, and it's pretty obvious my drawing looks nothing like a pinecone. Let's have a closer look at some reference images of pinecones together. In these references, we can see that all the pinecones have a flat bottom. Some of them are short, some of them are long, and some have more of a point than others. They also have a lot of space between the branches where they've opened out. And the ends of the branches are shaped like a bent letter D with a pointy bit on the outer curve. There is some diagonal patterning, but it only seems to run for between 3 and 5 rows. The arms of the branches are also much darker than the ends. In essence, pinecones look like a cross between pine trees, acorns and pineapples. Now, having had a close look and studying the references, I'm going to draw some pinecones again, but this time from the references. I'm not tracing them because I don't want to create an exact copy, I just want to get the general look and feel right. I am keeping the references on my other screen to go off. Having the reference images also means I can recreate the colouring better. And these look much more like pinecones. And now the real power of references comes out. I've studied and drawn from the references, and I've built up my mental image of a pinecone, so now I'm going to try again, but this time I'm using references in my head to draw a unique pinecone. As you can see, almost instantly, these look a lot more like real pinecones. Not only is the shape more realistic, but I'm also thinking about its structure, which allows me to think about how light will affect it too. And the end result is much more realistic drawing, not copied, not traced, but still created with the use of references. Now I could go off and draw more, or look at more references and slowly build up a more high definition mental image, which over time would allow me to draw ever more realistic pinecones, if I wanted to.